You are listening to the Nollywood Spotlight Show on Nollywood Radio France. My name is Rebecca Magnier, and as always with me is the very handsome, very talented Cyprien Jusson. Cyprien, tell the audience what you're looking at.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. I'm Cyprien Jusson, your host. I live in France, and I'm joined today by my good friend Rebecca Magnier, all the way from Houston, Texas, and that's the power of technology. 8,000 kilometers almost that separates us, and today we're going to review a movie, and unfortunately on my own side I have to be very honest, I watched only part one of the movie. So I think Rebecca will give us more about this movie, and then I'll give my opinion, my own review on this very movie. Rebecca, you can start.
Okay, so the name of the movie is Under Project. Under Project was directed by Nonso Emeka Ikwu and also produced by Nonso Emeka Ikwu, written by Dennis Abe Osoba. This movie was starring Franca Tus as Harry, Tonto Dike as Lizzie, Vivian Amegeshi as Lillian, Daniel K. Daniel as Dave, Jevivina Tamachloe as Chief Lewis, Vivian Anker as the chief's wife. So the synopsis of the movie is, which, by the way, the synopsis is really what got me to want to watch this movie. It says, Elizabeth's life seems perfect. She has a fiancé who loves her and her in-laws who accept her despite of her ugly past. Her aurora enchants the household of Chief Lewis, Gavivina Tamachloe, played by Gavivina Tamachloe, except Dave, played by Daniel K. Daniel, the houseboy. At first, Elizabeth thought she was dealing with an outright rude and amateur little boy. Little does she know that the love, care, and marital consummation she craves from her fiancé Harry, played by Franca Tus, is also being shared with an household boy. A race of great consequence is a race a woman runs, holding her breath, especially when it involves a sexual pervert. So that's the synopsis. I was like, ooh, what does that mean? I gotta see what this is about, okay? So I watched it, part 1, part 2, part 3, all 3. I didn't lose focus. The music was good. Okay, so let me just go down the checklist that I created. I created a little checklist here and there. Picture quality, I chose excellent. Sound, I chose good. Too much noise in a few road scenes. There were a couple of road scenes where I couldn't hear any of the characters speak. And I think they covered that up really well with background music. But I did see their facial expression, and I could tell that their car broke down and they couldn't move any further. But there was pretty much a lot of noise. They were by the highway, so the cars were running really fast. It was really loud. But I guess it wasn't bad. It didn't take away from the story, is what I'm trying to say. So location was fair. It was absolutely obvious that this movie was shot in one specific hotel room, and they were using maybe the manager's office, as one of the offices in the film. They used maybe a living room in a different house in another scene. It was just so obvious because they didn't change a lot of the things that may have covered that they were using the exact same location. For example, it was obvious that they were using the same location over and over because the curtains in the bedroom were exactly the same in a lot of the scenes that required them to be in a different location. The bed sheets, the bedspread, on one of the scenes, the car broke down, and this is the very first time Harry was gonna come into the houseboy's room, Dave's room, played by Daniel K. Daniel, and of course Harry was played by Frank Atus. And on that bed, it had a bed sheet with, I think, Dora the Explorer or some type of princess, Disney princess on the covers. And when they actually got home and he was gonna try again to seduce Dave, the same exact bed sheet was on the bed. I was like, I thought y'all was in the same place, for real? You know, like, that was so obvious. Anywho, so that definitely was one of the things that I knew that, you know, they only had that same location and they were using it over and over again. So the scene progression, you know, moving from one thing to another, it was good. It was easy to follow. The story from one thing to another. So it was pretty easy to follow the story from one thing to another. And then I also have the difference between night and day. It's fair. I could not tell what time of the day it was. In any of these scenes, it was either light or dark. You know, I couldn't tell if it was 8 p.m. or 6 p.m. or whether it was 10 a.m. or 10, you know, maybe 11 a.m. I couldn't tell. Although on one of the scenes there was a dialogue by the chief's wife asking her maid or her servant to go inform her husband that his son is going to be arriving in the morning the following day. So I knew that when Harry arrived the following day, you know, no matter how bright the sun was, it must have been just a sunny morning. So I assumed that following day was in the morning. The story itself was good. The reason I gave the story good and not excellent is because the story is a taboo. You know, I'm just saying, you know, hey, you know, my aunt could be listening to this, my mother could be listening to this, I don't want none to come up, so, y'all got a good on that one.
Excuse me, Rebecca.
Go ahead.
You know what? I found it boring.
You found it boring?
Yes. But what I found boring about the movie is all about parking. He was always giving excuse. I mean, what's that his name? The lead actor that the husband of Frank? Harry, yes. Played by Frank Atus, yeah.
Atus.
Yeah. Now, he's a very good actor. That was what saved the movie anyway, because
right.
the two, Tonton Dike and Frank Atus, are just excellent actors. But never mind, putting them in that story, that was what saved the storyline. You see,
right.
Because number one, he had to park to go to a meeting, and again, Tonton Dike will come in again to see him parking again. There was all about parking, and again, when there's transition to something, Tonton Dike was with the girlfriend talking about the husband, and again, it was slow. I was waiting for some action, something to find to some twist. So, Tonton Dike, a very good actress, could have. According to the script writer, you could have just sent a detective to know where the husband was going every time. But the storyline was very good.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I think the message is excellent. The message is excellent. But
right, for me though, Super, I actually didn't think of it as being boring. I did see it as being extremely simple. It was so easy to follow. But there's something that a celebrity I was interviewing a while back, David Rain, said. David Rain said, at this particular point in Nollywood, we're not at the point where we're telling Shakespeare's stories. We're still at the point where we're trying to speak correct English and have the other person who's actually watching the movie understand what the heck they just saw, you know? So it really is true. I really think we have to do. You're completely right. But the reality of the fact is, and it's so sad to say when I say women are being oppressed, is that not every single woman who gets the intuition that their husband might be cheating on them would actually have the gumption or the boldness to actually investigate. The reality of what's happening with that gentleman is what really happens in households. Women are just, look at her friend. Look at what her friend is telling her. in that movie, her friend is saying, "Oh, you just have to really, really pray. One day, God is gonna touch his heart, and He's going to change his mind from cheating." I was like, I should slap that girl right now. No, she didn't tell her friend that. No, he's not even cheating with a woman. What if the husband had AIDS? What if the husband had contacted HIV? You're gonna hope and pray that you do not ruin your life? Are you kidding me? That was why I really, really appreciated that movie talked about condoms being in the pocket of that gentleman. Condoms being in the pocket of Harry. When he's doing what he's doing, he at least loves his family enough, loves himself enough to want to protect his own life while he's being promiscuous outside of his marriage. You see what I mean? The story itself is fantastic. It really is a story that needs to be told. I don't care how simple, but to be told over and over again in different ways. So the message is clear across that there are gay people in Nigeria, and it's just undercover. In fact, there is a governor that I knew about in Nigeria, which ended in an extremely tragic death of my friend, who was gay and married at one point. The press found out he was gay. The wife divorced him. He went on and remarried and did it. Do you see what I mean? But it's done behind closed doors. It's done behind the press. It happens. It really happens, and that is what this story really put to the forefront. What I really liked about the end was that, if you got a chance to watch part 3, if you haven't watched part 3, Cyprian, I encourage you to watch it, because in the end, the last 3 or 4 scenes before part 3 completely ends, the houseboy, first of all, I don't want to tell, it's already online, guys. Okay, I'm sorry we're telling you the entire movie while we're talking, which is something that I don't want to do, because I want you to go watch it. But there is a particular scene at the end. First of all, it just, the way the house boy chose to sleep with Harry. The reason why Dave, the houseboy, decided to consent to Harry, you guys have got to watch the movie to find out. And it's just so sad that something like that still happens in Nigeria till today. Not just to men, but also to women. In this particular case, it's because he's gay. But what about the times when guys manipulate young girls into doing the same things based on this idea? You guys have to watch it to find that out. It is just so sad, and I'm just, it's a story that needed to be told. It really was a story that needed to be told. But 4 scenes before the end of the movie, Dave goes to a pastor. Dave goes to church and gets the phone number of the pastor, saying there are some things that has been bothering him that he really needs some prayer on. And then at the end, Harry goes to Dave's apartment, and Dave actually physically kicks him out, like they were breaking up. But they didn't really say they were breaking up. He just kicked him out. So I really love the hanging at the end, where it leaves the imagination of the person watching the film to think, okay, so what happened? Did Dave get saved? Did he repent? Or did he, okay, so did Dave repent, or did he stay in the relationship on the down low? Did Harry's sister ever tell his parents? Because there was a point where Harry's sister found out. So did Harry's sister ever tell his parents? Did Dave's girlfriend ever find out? Because Dave also had a girlfriend. Did she ever find out? There were so many unanswered questions in part 3. So I encourage you, Cyprian, you have to watch that film. But I really, really loved it. Makeup was excellent. I saw a makeup on Sonso DK that I didn't think we were able to do in Nigeria. She looked fabulous in some of those scenes. Wardrobe match. They had a great clothing in the film. It actually matched the scenes. I I really, really appreciated that because that really helped to tell the story and it eliminated distractions, which there were some scenes that you just could not be distracted by the way someone looked or what they were wearing. So that really helped. I really appreciated that they did that. So, on my little review, friends,
yes,
I did a Best Male Actor Performance. I get to give the Best Male Actor Performance an award on the radio.
Yeah, 2.
And the award goes to Frank Artus and Daniel K. Daniel, his partner in the film. Not in real life. Frank is not gay, Daniel is not gay. But I'm just saying, in this movie, I totally believed them. It was such an emotional film, and I completely believed that they were gay for this movie, which was like, by the way, I was afraid the whole time I was watching it. I was like, I can't believe you guys are doing this. Is this real? Because I couldn't believe it. I could not believe we have this in Nigeria. Get out of here. Wow. Yeah, so Frank Artus displayed excellent facial expressions through, though there were no nudity or physical contact between the two characters, the characters were still very believable. So next, I have Female Best Performance. And the award goes to
Tonton DK.
Of course, Tonton DK.
Oh yes, she was so good.
Vivian Anchor.
Yeah, she was so good. She was so good in that.
Yes. And Vivian Anchor, Vivian Anchor who played Frank's mother, she has actually been acting for quite some time. Okay. She's been acting since 2003. Mm-hmm. The same time Rita Dominic started or whatever. Mm. And I mean, she played the mother so well. She did such a great job. I believed her as a mom. When she was excited, I was excited with her. When she was sad, I was sad with her. She really just brought that motherly emotion out, which is like really hard sometimes for people to play. And she looked the part. She looked like someone who could be Frank Artus's mother, And of course, Frank's sister, thank God, Frank's sister actually looked like someone who could be his sister. But I didn't really like the relationship between Frank's sister, Harry and his sister. I really didn't like it. I felt like they were too, it wasn't natural. It was more like a personal relationship. It felt to me like boyfriend and girlfriend than brother and sister. So I did see that. So Tonton DK, with that question, is an excellent actress, fantastic facial expression, and knows when to turn it on and turn it off. She sure did, because there were times when she needed to be an in-law to Harry's sister. She just went right into that. She just went right into that role, was really Harry's sister, an in-law to Harry's sister, She gave a genuine smile at the right time and got aggressive or angry at the right time. I never noticed Vivian Anchor's acting, but I did in this film. She played her role as a mother very well. She was very believable. Yeah. So right now.
So grading the film.
Yeah.
What will be your general grade then? I mean your.
Excellent question. Well, the underlying message in the story is definitely use protection always. Period.
That's number one.
Whatever. In whatever sexual ventures you're thinking about, use protection always. In the film, Lizzie found condoms in Harry's pocket. So, and also there are gay people in Africa who do it on the down low. That's the official message to the film. Overall, I will give it 3.5 stars out of 4 stars. I'll give it 3.5 stars, and the reason why I'm giving it 3.5 stars is because I understood the story from beginning to end, and it is such a huge taboo and they played it really well. They were able to tell the story without any nudity, without really going into deep into the sexual aspect of being gay, but they talked more about the everyday living of a gay person in Africa.
So for me, I succeeded in watching the part one of the movie. So I'm gonna give that just 1 star.
1 star, because why? It's not their fault you didn't watch all 3. Why would you like?
Yeah,
hate on the whole movie?
because I got the message right away. Because in the first time when the scene opened, I didn't know what the story was all about, because there was one scene that shouldn't have come in at all. At the same time, it was like you said, it was in one location. What's the message trying to give to young people? I mean, the moral aspect of the message to young people that might be watching that, because that's another problem. But for me anyway,
but I don't think that the movie is set up for young people though. It's just the entire situation.
Oh yeah,
itself.
it was rated plus 18, right?
Plus 18,
and there was no nakedness.
It's not for young children at all.
Yeah, there was no nakedness anyway.
Right.
Okay. So Rebecca, how do we end up this review? I'm very sorry. Next time I'll be able to watch the whole. I think it was too long. I think we have to choose one, only part 1.
But most of the time with Nigerian or African movies, you have to watch part 1, part 2, and part 3. I've never seen, unless maybe if it's like a European-made film, not a true Nollywood movie. A true Nollywood movie would be part 1, part 2, part 3.
Yes, but the Last Flight to Abuja was just the movie. There was no part 1, there was no part 2.
I know. Last Flight to Abuja was not made by a Nollywood director.
Oh,
he's Nollywood, but he's like European Nollywood.
Obi Emelonye.
Where does Obi Emelonye live?
In London. In England.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's an extension of authentic Nollywood. Authentic Nollywood is part 1, part 2, and part 3. European Nollywood is normally just one film.
Come on, Rebecca. Come on, Rebecca. How are you going to?
It's true.
Define.
You do your own statistical analysis.
Okay. Define authentic Nollywood for us.
Authentic Nollywood is Nollywood movies, filmed, shot, directed, produced in Africa solely or mainly for the African audience in Africa. They tell African stories. If you compare the movie Under Project to a movie that you would see in America that's talking about the same subject, that movie would not hit home to any major degree to someone in America or someone in France, because we already accept being gay. You don't have to do that. Unless it's just a circumstance where your family is like very religious and they don't accept gays, and you just don't want to defy your parents, then you might marry a woman. But the story itself will be told so differently. It'll be more juicy, more meaty, because we comprehend better. We already are used to that type of environment. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But an extension of Nollywood is movies who are still classified as Nollywood, but they tell more in-depth stories in that an European audience will understand or connect with, or would identify with. Mostly those stories will be stories about immigration. Those stories will be stories about love, with cultural differences, with some type of European influence. Someone who is in love with a Nigerian who is in love with a Mexican. Who the Mexican parent is racist against black people. Okay. Because they're both competing for the same job. Something like that. You see what I mean? This type of story, someone in Nigeria would understand it, but it wouldn't be at the level that they can really grasp, because they're looking for work.
Yeah, but
we have work here. You see what I mean?
Yeah, this movie Under Project, what do you mean is for the local market?
It's for the local market. And for people, it's for the local, mainly, first of all, this movie is that one movie that is, first, there is no nudity, There is no profanity.
No.
That same movie in the US will not be called rated 18, number one. That's how you know it's authentic Africa. The idea within the story, the message within the story in itself is rated 18 in Africa.
Yeah.
Not the content of the film.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's really what I mean by authentic African Nollywood and the extension of Nollywood. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the movie you just heard us review is called On the Project. I gave this movie a 3.5 star, and Cyprian Jusson gave the movie 1 star, and his reason is because he only saw part 1 and he wasn't motivated to see part 2 or part 3. But that's his European side speaking. That's what I know about.
What do you mean?
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, to get full detailed review, go to www.nollywoodradiofrance.com. And of course, you're going to see a blog post about this movie review on www.nollywoodspotlight.com. Thank you all so much for listening, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye. You'll be listening to Nollywood Radio France. Thanks for listening.
Again, this is Rebecca Monnier, and you are listening to the Nollywood Spotlight Show on Nollywood Radio France. And as always with me, I have Cyprian Jusson. Cyprian, tell the audience where you're located.
Yeah, Rebecca, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Cyprian Jusson. So I live in France, and like I used to say every time in this program, we live in 2 different cities and in 2 continents. So Rebecca Monnier is talking from Houston, Texas, and I'm in a little town called Shark. So Rebecca, today we have a movie review. Is that so?
Yeah.
Okay. So the movie we're going to review is called The Naughty Doctor.
Correct.
So yeah, the movie is directed by Amechi Ikeche. So the film tells the story of rape, corruption, blackmail, and how the judicial system works in a place. So for me, Naughty Doctor begins with the gynecologist Dr. Jerry, played by Majid Michel, to Serena, one of the pregnant women and the wife of Chief Walter, played by Mercy Johnson. Then comes Chief Walter, who sold his soul to the devil for money, played by Livinus Nichiri. Another charming character is Barrister Emeka, played by Yolo Idoji. He's a remarkable character, and his powerful deep bass voice will always captivate the attention of the viewer. Then we have the brilliant Barrister Desmond, played by Paul Sambo, and 2 more characters who struck a chord in this movie were Joy Iguru, the welfare judge, and Leo Ewezi, who played Lord Tunga, the soothsayer. No doubt, the film has a quality cast. The characters were well drawn. So, Rebecca, what can you add to what I've just said?
Wow, Super, you're really excited about this movie. I take it you actually watched all 4 parts.
I did. Now, talking about watching the 4 parts, I have problems with part 1, part 2, and part 3, part 4, even to part 5 movies in Nollywood movies. So I don't like this part. So this is just, I think it's for local consumption. This is the way I say it. But I want you to add something before I go ahead. It's not bad. It's better than the first one I watched, but that does not mean that I'm going to give away 5 stars to the movie. But we are just starting the review. Go ahead.
Right. Okay. So, well, let me go ahead and start with the synopsis. So it says psychopathic gynecologist in the habit of having sexual intercourse with his patients before carrying out the actual test required of him. A plan has been set in motion and his barbaric act has been caught on tape. And this gets him a court case. But this intelligent doctor is not ready to go down without a fight. A suspense, intriguing movie with several twists and turns. And they were absolutely right. There were several twists. I mean, for a Nollywood movie, this film did have a lot of twists and turns.
Yeah, a lot of twists and turn. I'm gonna say I like the movie because the storyline is open to debate. Yeah, that's one point. Now, why is it open to debate? It questions the notion of good and bad. Right. I think that's number one. And then how can you render justice in a corrupt land?
Exactly.
So in the movie we can see that Dr. Jerry was sent to prison. Right. They say, and Chief Walter was punished by divine powers. Probably the handwork of Lord Tunga. On the other hand, the idea to edit the movie in 4 parts is senseless. Because this story could have been told in part 1, part 2, or even in part 1.
Right.
So it's too long. That's the problem. And did you understand where the action of the movie is set? Did you find out that?
Honestly, part 1 and part 2 just seemed like someone saying the exact same thing in different ways.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
I think it really got interesting when Mercy Johnson came in, which I believe was almost at the end of part 2.
Yeah.
That was when she came in, she, her brother, and her mother. And you really got to see how men in Nigeria take advantage of a lot of situations and circumstances dealing with the poor. You got to see how a family has to force their children to get married just so they can eat and send the other rest of the children to school, which I thought was just horrible. I it was really hard for me to see that, and I was touched by that story because it's the truth. People in horrible circumstances and situations are looking for a savior. And at the end of the day, they end up selling their own child in exchange for that, in exchange for a better situation or a better circumstance. But in the end, it kind of worked out in a way that was predictable because you know how Satan works. He never gives you an opportunity to win.
Yeah.
If you actually make it out alive, then it definitely wasn't Satan who gave you what you had. So he went to Satan for prosperity and he got it, but with the price of his own life.
Yeah. Like what you said, Rebecca. Trying to help someone that at a period when the person is emotionally weak. Okay, right. That's we can understand when you're fragile, you have no hope for the future.
Right.
Now that was how Chief Walter came into Serena and the mother's life. So that scene touched me somehow because I knew that there would be a price to pay, but I didn't know that it could come to that extent.
To that extent,
yes.
In the way that it happened. I mean, the twist in the film was fantastic.
Yes.
So let's talk about a face that that is not seen all the time, but definitely made a very loud statement in this film. Sambo.
Oh yes.
Wow. Sambo was awesome.
Awesome.
Get out. His face perfect. I mean, he had a great personality. I mean, the character just fit him to the
yeah,
that's not normal in Nollywood.
Very convincing. I mean, he's a very convincing character, and he played that role superbly well. Honestly,
I'm telling you,
yes.
I honestly, to be unfortunately, Majid Michelle, you got competition, bro.
Yes.
Sambo did that.
Yes.
You know, personally, I think Sambo actually made Majid Michelle look good. You know, he made him look like a real criminal. You know, I mean, there were some technical issues with the film. There were some parts where I saw the mic. There were some parts where I saw some stage lights in the background. But you know, that's stuff that I'm gonna see because I'm in the industry and I'm like, come on, you know. But they touched very lightly on a very, very important situation.
Yes.
Which is the issue with HIV. I didn't like the way they just kind of mildly touched on that at the end. So in this scene, the character, Dr. Jerry, played by Majid Michelle, slept with the character, Franca, and Franca had HIV, and she didn't use protection, but slept with Dr. Jerry, so there's a possibility Dr. Jerry has HIV.
Yeah, but sorry to interject, Rebecca. I don't think they can bring in so many issues into the movie because already we have a message. The great message in the movie is rape. That is Dr. Jerry raping all the women in
Period.
Yeah. So now bringing the issue again of HIV, don't you think that should have been too much for the viewers?
I think the HIV issue itself is a very serious situation.
Yes,
maybe. I think really what I'm saying is it was kind of mentioned in a very light way. You know, like, so what? I infected you with HIV, so what? End of story. It wasn't emotion. The doctor didn't cry. The doctor didn't, feel like, oh my gosh, my life is lost. None of that. Which is very, very important because then, at the end of the day, when you and I go home, we forget that he was infected with HIV. But if he made a big deal about it, then we may think that, maybe he later on went and got tested and was infected.
But do you know what I was thinking as I was watching that scene, that part? I said, okay, Dr. Jerry has been very, he's very powerful in terms of blackmailing everybody. He's got something to tell you about your life. And then when Franca came in to say, yes, I have HIV, he said, but I slept with you and you didn't tell me. That means I was thinking, in my mind, I was a little bit happy. I said, look at this tough guy. He has been punished. He has been punished. But not knowing that the punishment will come from his going to prison. So he was double. He had two punishments. One, I think the viewers will understand quickly, but what you said was not well developed.
Right.
So that we can know that Dr. Jerry had HIV, or even could have gone.
Really did get it.
Or even could have gone to another doctor for a test. You see.
Right. Immediately.
Immediately. You see.
Exactly. It definitely is a run-on film. It's like a run-on sentence. A lot of the key points that happened in part 3 and 4, I think should have been moved up to 1 and 2.
Yeah.
To really make it beefy and juicy and just digestible. I did feel that it was just too long. It was just
It was too long.
Yeah. And in America, who has 5 hours?
Oh my God.
To film? Come on, like, we have work to do. we have other things in our lives that we have to do. When you go to the movies, you are in there time. Unless it's like a major film like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, where a lot of money, a lot of work is put into it. There's so many things to keep your attention. You already know about the story. You're already involved with the story. I mean, a normal film is 120 minutes, which is like an hour.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. You're done in an hour, and you're going about your business. That's about it. So, I mean, 5 hours is a long time. I definitely, that entire film, or should I say eulogy, is for the African audience.
Yeah, I said it.
I want to see part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6, you know, just continuous on the exact same movie. Definitely not for a European audience.
No. So, Rebecca, how are we going to rate this movie now?
Well, as usual, I did several sections that I rated. I have picture quality. I'll give it an excellent. What do you think?
Go ahead. I don't want to influence you. I don't want to influence you, my friend.
Okay, I have good for sound because I can hear some noises and some scenes. Location, I have excellent, great location. It was obvious that they spent some money on location and used some really nice places. Scene progression, I have good. It was easy to follow the story from one scene to another. Difference between night and day, I have good. A few scenes actually stayed at the time of the day for the progression of scenes. So, for example, the court scene where the judge requested characters resume the court case on a specific day and time. Story itself, I have fair for Hollywood. If we're grading on a Hollywood basis, it's a D-. If we're grading on a Nollywood basis, it's a B+. So, for a Nollywood movie, this movie did very well. There were several twists and turns, like the synopsis stated. The conclusion, I have good. However, there was not a cliffhanger. All the loose ends were tied in the end, which means all the bad people got punished. All the good people received whatever it is that they wanted. In the end, you know. And then error corrected during the films, like I said earlier. Sorry, some props like the mic lights were visible in part 2. However, it was corrected and was no longer visible in the rest of the film. So makeup was good. There was nothing really standing out in the makeup. Everybody had, okay makeup, suitable for African television. The wardrobe was excellent. The pregnant people actually looked pregnant, which was cool. And that's a big deal in Nollywood. Most Nollywood movies, the pregnant people do not look pregnant. They look like they have a pillow tucked in their stomach, okay? So that was good. That was really good. And like I said earlier, I did not like the fashion in which they brought up the subject about HIV. The importance of prevention or protection was not mentioned, which is ultimately the most important. Prevention and protection, they did not emphasize that at all. So do you want me to go into my awards?
Go ahead.
Yours?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so for best actor performance, guess who gets that?
Sambo, I think so. For me.
Yes.
Sambo,
I'm sorry, Michelle.
Yeah.
Man, Paul Sambo was on point.
He was
I
so
wanted
good
to watch him all the time.
Good.
I mean, he really, his personality he was so believable. His facial expressions match, and that's really hard. I think a lot of the time, these are Nollywood actors who've been in movie upon movie upon movie upon movie, forget that their facial expression have to match their personality, have to match what they're playing, And I feel like Paul Sambo, when he was advising Majid Michelle at his apartment, he spoke like he was for real. When he was in court fighting for he was on the side of
he was on the side of, always on the side of his friend.
Of his friend.
Right. With different witnesses that he was questioning. And then you can hear
So
the
he
judge
was-
who says
he was-
sustained, sustained.
Right. So he was on the side of Dr. Jerry. So I mean, he really fought, and I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I think if that case was in real life, Majid Michelle would have probably won. I highly doubt that the person who won would have won.
I think
He was so persuasive.
well, we can say he stole the show from.
He really did. He stole the show from everybody.
Yes.
He and Mercy Johnson stole the show. So for best female performance, it definitely goes to Mercy Johnson.
Yes.
Mercy's crazy.
Yes.
She's just a lovable character.
Yes.
If she's playing a 22-year-old, she can actually pull off a 22-year-old character.
Right.
You know, and when she wore her wig, she looked older. When she took it off, she looked younger.
Yes.
You know, which is really, really weird. But I just love that lady. She's a chameleon. She just does whatever it takes to get the story told. So, my take on the underlying story in this film was evil people never go scot-free, and the truth always reveals itself in the end, no matter what. That was what I got from that.
Yeah, but unfortunately, in the real world, it does not happen that way. You see?
Not all the time, but most of the time it does.
Yeah. So for me, the general rating, I'm giving an overall rating for this movie because of the storyline, because of the characters that are very fantastic characters. So I'm going to rate this movie 3 stars out of 5.
3 stars?
Yeah, out of 5. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but somehow got lost in the middle, part 2 and part 3, and then found part 4 interesting because there was a marriage. It ended like what you said, the marriage of Paul Sambo, Barrister Desmond, and Mercy Johnson that played Serena. Did you watch that side? Did you see that?
I did watch it. I thought I was weak.
Sorry?
I saw it, but I thought that was weak.
Yeah, it was because Paul Sambo was also punished by divine powers. I don't know. You see, this is this is the Nollywood style of writing. You must be punished by divine powers. You see, my rating, I repeat, is 3 stars. And you, finally, Rebecca, your general rating will be?
It's gonna be 3 stars too.
Also, okay.
Yes, and the reason is because the story had twists and turns, but I think the end kind of let me down a little. Like, I was expecting a more aggressive end. You know, parts 1 and 2 were kind of fillers. The story really started at the end of part 2. Part 3 and 4 really told. That's where all the action was. You know, so I was expecting that kind of a powerful ending to that. You know. But I mean, like I said, it's good to see in a Nollywood movie that good people get good things, you know, and bad people get punished. But I still felt like they could have been a lot more creative as to, because, for example, when we saw On the Project is actually already a hot story to tell because it's a taboo from the get-go. So everything about that film, you're kind of watching it with one eye open, you know? But in a film like this where you're telling just a normal story, you have to be, at least the beginning needs to be powerful, the end needs to be powerful. And I felt like this story wasn't powerful both in the beginning and the end.
So can we recommend this movie to our listeners?
Of course, you gotta watch it. You know, we want to know what you think. You know, this could be just us. You know, we are professionals in this. We watch Nollywood movies all the time. We're in the films. We're working, you know, promoting the films, either in the background, on set. So we know what's going on in the film, but we want to know what you, the audience, think about this film. You know.
And then if there is any director out there looking for someone to cast, do not forget Paul Sambo. He is one of the best actors now in Nollywood. Highly recommended.
I want to see you in a lot more Nollywood movies.
Yes.
I love looking at your face on screen. You remind me of the early Van Vicker So definitely, definitely, producers, directors, cinematographers, look out for Paul Sambo. You got a diamond, for real.
Paul Sambo is the man of the Naughty Doctor. You're listening to Nollywood Radio France, and I'm your host, Cyprian Johnson, and Rebecca Monnier, my colleague, all the way from Houston, Texas. Rebecca Monnier is the director and creator of Nollywood Spotlight. Rebecca, just give a word and give the address of your website and who you are again to our listeners, because more and more listeners are coming in. So we will keep on introducing ourselves so that we will keep them and they will tell their friends. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. And we definitely want to thank you for listening to Nollywood Spotlight Show on Nollywood Radio France. We're here because of you. We appreciate you. Invite your friends, invite your brother, your uncle, your auntie. Go to www.nollywoodradiofrance.com. We upload on a regular basis brand new episodes of the show almost every single day. So you're able to get live recordings or pre-recorded recordings of our show. And of course, you can always go to www.nollywoodspotlight.com. I always post fresh blogs about what we talk about, give you more in-depth insight on our discussions. So we appreciate you again. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. Bye.